Welcome back, everybody. We're 3 weeks into looking at the life of Joseph, one of the most famous figures in the Bible. And just to be clear, no, not the Joseph who was betrothed to Mary and raised Jesus, but Joseph of the Old Testament, beloved of his father, who gave him an incredibly colorful coat, but was thrown into a pit and sold into slavery by his older brothers. But his story isn't even being close to being over. As we look at Joseph's life, we have the privilege of seeing the bigger picture. We see the whole story. But at the time, Joseph was only seeing what was happening in front of him. But God had big plans for Joseph. There was a bigger picture that Joseph couldn't yet see. A picture that was actually pretty incredible. So incredible, in fact, that we are still talking about him thousands of years later. And as we'll see today, gives us an idea of how to do the right thing when the right thing is hard to do. Now, we're in Genesis 39, if you're following along at home, and we're picking up Joseph's story right after he was sold as a slave to a group of traders, again by his brothers, if you remember from last week. Joseph was eventually bought by a pretty powerful Egyptian named Potiphar. And this guy was a big shot in the government and the captain of Pharaoh's guard. After some time working for Potiphar, Joseph was put in charge of Potiphar's entire house and everything he owned. So even though Joseph was in a bad situation, things seemed to be turning around for him, right? Well, this is where the story starts to take a turn. Just look at what happened next. Now Joseph was well built and handsome, and after a while his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, "Come to bed with me." Whoa! All right, can we just stop and this is super bad. Joseph was a good-looking dude who was just working hard for his boss Potiphar when suddenly, maybe not so suddenly, but Potiphar's wife took notice. Just like that, she invited him to do something that was meant only for her and her husband, not her and Joseph. Potiphar's wife was basically inviting Joseph to have an affair with her. Now, let's put this in present day context with a middle schooler for a second. I've seen some of y'all out of quarantine, and you've been taking care of yourself, working out, eating right, doing some exercising, and this is like your best friend's boyfriend or girlfriend taking notice and hitting you up via text or DM to ask you, just to go hang out on the side, on the down low, and sure, they might be cute, but they're with your bestie, your BFF, and not you. And so having them ask you to sneak around and hang out on the DL isn't a great situation for you to be in, right? And so here we have Joseph way beyond just sneaking around, hanging out, way worse that. And there's a lot at stake here for him. He could have easily given in to the temptation that Potiphar's wife presented him. He could have considered what he could have gotten away with and decided to give it a shot. But all those little choices would have ultimately led him to have an affair with Potiphar's wife, and they would cost Joseph something. And Joseph was trying to do the right thing, so he decided to take a different route. Take a look with me. It says, "But he refused. With me in charge," he told her, "my master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Everything he owns he has entrusted to my care. No one is greater in the house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. Instead of giving in to Potiphar's wife, Joseph decided to do what was right. Not just one time, but over and over and over again. Every time Potiphar's wife came to Joseph with the same temptation, Joseph made the choice to do the next right thing. To not only honor Potiphar, but to honor God with his life and decisions. Now, you'd think that because Joseph made the choice to do the right thing, everything worked out great. This right choice was so obvious and clear that you'd think it wouldn't cost Joseph anything. You'd think it would all work out great because every time you do the right thing, good things happen to you. It's not what we find in the Bible. That's just not always true. Believe it or not, doing the right thing eventually wound up costing Joseph his freedom. And that's a really big cost. You see, sometime later, Potiphar's wife came to Joseph again with her inappropriate suggestion. Only this time she took it a step too far. She actually grabbed his cloak, and Joseph tried so hard to do the right thing that he just took off running. Yeah, when words weren't working, your boy Joseph just took action and literally ran out on her, leaving his cloak behind in her hands. Now, because Potiphar's wife found herself in a bad situation, she decided to become even more selfish and spin this in her favor. She told everyone that Joseph pursued her, and she said that when she screamed for help was when Joseph ran off and left his cloak behind. And of course, when Potiphar heard this story, he was not happy, and he threw Joseph right in prison. This definitely isn't the happy ending you'd expect for someone who chose to do the right thing. You see, sometimes doing the right thing will get you applause and approval, and sometimes it won't. Sometimes the right thing will come at a cost that seems completely unfair. And that's what happened here with Joseph. But Joseph did the right thing because he had integrity. And doing the right thing, regardless of the cost, is the definition of integrity. Joseph couldn't see the big picture. He didn't know that choosing the right thing would get him thrown into prison. And even when he was in prison, Joseph didn't know that God was still working, still creating that incredible big picture for his life. But Joseph didn't need to know because he chose to honor God with his decisions. He was operating with integrity. Joseph knew that choosing the right thing was the best decision, no matter what happened next. And that's what I want you to know too. Here's what I think we can remember from this part of Joseph's story. When you can't see the bigger picture, do the next right thing. In the moments Joseph was faced with the choice, he didn't know the bigger picture. He couldn't see it yet, but he still chose to do the next right thing. He still chose to hold on to his integrity and honor God with his decisions. So how can we do the same? When we're struggling to do the next right thing or make the next right choice, what can we do to help us hold on to our integrity? Well, first, you can see your situation. What situation are you in where you need to do the next right thing? Maybe it's in a relationship that's starting to push your boundaries. Maybe it's in a conversation that you've been avoiding with your parents. Maybe it's in a friendship that needs to change. And maybe out of quarantine, it's a mobile app that is monopolizing your time. Whatever it is, think about what situation you're in where you need to take a step in the right direction. See the situation where you need help in making the right choice. And then identify the next right thing. Do you need to confess something to a parent? Do you need to ask a friend for help with something? Do you need to apologize to someone in your life? Do you need to not go to that party that you've been invited to? Do you need to stop looking at someone else's homework they've been sending you since you're doing school virtually? Do you need to have a tough conversation with a boyfriend or a girlfriend? Or do you need to delete that app or ask for some accountability with your time online? In your situation, what is the next right thing? Now, here's the deal. It's easy to sit here and think about the next right thing to do. And it's even easier to totally forget about it after this video is over. So there's one final thing I want you to do. Tell somebody the next right thing you're trying to do. Hit up your small group leader, a trusted friend, or someone at home about the step you're trying to take. Invite them to ask you this week if you actually took it. Let them help you take a step toward the right thing to do. And if you can't think of anyone, DM us or hit me up directly, because taking these steps today is something that will shape our lives for the better tomorrow. Remember, You don't have to see the big picture in order to make the right choice. Instead, day by day, when you're faced with all sorts of decisions and choices, you can choose the next right one. When you can't see the bigger picture, do the next right thing. And we'll talk about this further in our small group time this week. So make sure you hit all the bells and the notifications down below here on YouTube, and we will see you back here